If you're not new to the manifesting community, you have probably at some time heard the phrase, your 3D reality is malleable and flexible and moldable, and you can reshape it. And if you are hearing that and not experiencing that, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. And what I want to remind you of is that the universe is mental. So yes, your 3D reality is malleable and flexible and moldable, but if your mind is not malleable, flexible, moldable, then you will not see this in your 3D reality. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And by the end of the video, you're going to understand exactly what it means to have a mind that is malleable, flexible, moldable, so that you can actually see that being reflected in your 3D reality as well. If you're new here, hello, I am your Muse, Traci. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy that you're here. On this channel, I help you unlock the power you already have but can't access. I help you break through where years of trying has failed. And the biggest hurdle of all, I help you go from intellectually knowing the law to permanently embodying it. So if that sounds good to you, you are more than welcome to join me here. Subscribe to the channel, stick around, and learn how to consciously manifest every aspect of your reality. So you've no doubt heard the phrase or the saying, your reality is not solid. Your reality is flexible, moldable, malleable, it's changeable. And that is absolutely true. But how does that happen? Well, it happens through a change of consciousness, a change of mind. But is your mind flexible, malleable, moldable, and changeable? Or are you firmly rooted in limitation? Are you firmly rooted in lack and limiting beliefs that were likely never yours to begin with, never consciously chosen by you to begin with? They were absorbed, unconsciously from your environment before you knew that you had a choice. Your beliefs are a choice, by the way. Whether you chose them consciously or not, that's another conversation, but you did choose them. And if you no longer desire to choose these beliefs, this is where you want to create a flexible mind with self-concept, who you think you are, who you were told you are, with how you think the world works, who you think you are in reference to the world and your reality. How you think other people work, how you think money works, all of these things. If you are firmly attached to and rooted in a belief system that is not serving you, and you are not flexible, and that belief system is not moldable, shapeable, malleable, then you will not perceive your 3D reality being those things either. All is mind. Your reality is a mirror, a delayed mirror of your mind, of your consciousness, of your assumptions. So if your assumptions are not changeable, if you are waiting for out there to change before you change in here, it does not work that way. It does not work that way. And you will hear the saying, your reality is moldable and flexible and malleable and shapeable, and it's not solid and it's not real. You'll hear that and you'll want to believe that, but you will not witness that. You will not observe that because your mind is the source. And if your mind is not flexible, if you're not able to change your concept of self, if you're not able to change the rules about how money works for you, if you're not able to change the rules about how people relate to you, if you're not able to change these thoughts internally, assumptions, beliefs, patterns inside of you, you're not going to see it out there. This is not a wish on a star type of relationship that you have with your 3D reality. This is a belief system. It's a cause-effect system. Your mind is the cause, out there is the effect. So if your mind is rigid and stuck in old ways of thinking and committed to only thinking what you've always been, then you are going to keep experiencing that in your 3D reality. Not because it's real, but because you are not allowing your mind to be flexible, malleable, moldable. If you want your external world to be that, your mind has to be that. You have to be that. It's really just as simple as that. So, can you look at your own belief system? I see this time and time again, especially with people's self-concept, their concept of self. They want to get higher value things reflected back to them while they're still holding a lower concept of self. Does not work that way. So, and then when we work together, sometimes what I see is people have a hard time elevating how they think about themselves. And then, it's like, why? Why is your mind not more flexible, at the very least, in how you think of yourself? How you think of yourself is your choice, believe it or not. There is no one standing over you making sure that you limit yourself to thinking about yourself according to how your life has played out thus far. No one is doing that to you. They don't have access to what you think about yourself. Only you do. So realize this for yourself. Realize that there is no, gatekeeper here. There's no guardian at the gate making sure that you stay committed and true to thinking about yourself according to how your life has played out thus far. No one's doing that. So then you are completely free. You are completely free to think of yourself in the highest regard that you can imagine, just internally. But notice within yourself if you don't feel like you have access to doing that. Why don't you have access to doing that? What is actually holding you back from thinking higher about yourself? Such a good question to ask and ponder and look inside of yourself for the answer. The answer isn't out there. The answer isn't, well, because that happened and that happened and that happened and that happened. That's not the answer. The answer is within you. So you may feel fear about having higher thoughts about yourself. You may feel unworthy about having higher thoughts about yourself. All of this it's fine. You can work through all of that. If you keep trying to say, well, I don't have higher thoughts of myself because that thing and that guy and that person and that, this is all called the blame game. And none of that is real. Okay? So you have access to the highest thoughts that you could possibly have about yourself right now. And if you're not able to reach for those, let's start looking at why. Why isn't your mind more flexible, at the very least, in how you think about yourself? We can go about other topics later on. But this starts with you. How flexible are you able to think about yourself? Because if you are in a rigid little box about how you think about yourself, then how the reality relates to you is going to reflect that rigid little box. It's not going to be expansive and malleable and flexible and moldable because your mind is not those things. So this is where that flexibility starts. It doesn't start out there. It starts within you. Have you ever heard this piece of it? Your reality is flexible. Well, how does it get to be flexible? You have to create a flexible mind. You have to create an expansive mind. You have to create a mind that is capable of thinking outside of your past experiences, outside of your perceived limitations, outside of your learned limitations, outside of societal norms, outside of what you've been told is true about you. This is a flexible mind. And again, maybe you just start to ponder these things, right? You can start by asking, what is the highest thought I could actually have about myself? And then you have that thought and notice if there is resistance. That would be an amazing practice for you to engage in. Then try it with something else. Try it with money. Try it with another person that you are in relationship with. Doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, but try it. What is the highest thought I could have about this person that I am relating to? And whether that's about them or about you, make it up. Just go for this experiment. What's the highest thought I could have about my living situation? What's the highest thought I could have about my physical body appearance? What's the highest thought I could have about my home or my car or my work? Just do this thought experiment and see how flexible is your mind, how shapeable, how moldable is your mind, because that level, that degree of moldability, flexibility is going to be reflected in your 3D reality. You are not going to see a flexible, malleable 3D reality when your mind is rigid and rooted in lack and limitation and unwilling to change. Your mind is changeable. But of course, you have to know that for yourself. There isn't an actual, physical limitation that says, well, once we get some beliefs in there, that's it. That's all we can believe ever. That's not how this works. Your beliefs are a choice. And especially if you have beliefs that you never chose, you get up to rewriting those immediately. Because why are you continuing at this point in your life to carry beliefs that you never chose? Why are you willing to keep doing that? It's another good question to ask yourself, I think. Why are you willing to keep carrying around beliefs that you never chose when your beliefs are a choice? Maybe you don't know your beliefs are a choice. Well, now you do. So your beliefs are a choice. You can choose to carry beliefs that you never chose, or you can choose to rewrite those beliefs. And just see right now, when you start to contemplate these higher thoughts, how flexible is your mind? Is your mind willing to go for a higher thought? Or is there a lot of resistance, a lot of pushback? That may be the case. Okay, no problem. I don't care where you're starting from. I really don't care how much resistance you have to change. It's irrelevant, because any amount of resistance can be let go of. Any amount of resistance can be dissolved. But it's good to know how much resistance is there, so that you know this isn't because of a fundamental thing that says beliefs can't change. There is no thing that says beliefs can't change. Your beliefs can change anytime, but it's up to you. It's up to you to understand that beliefs are a choice and beliefs are changeable. And if you're not being successful yet at changing your beliefs, let's look at why. You can look at why. You can look at why right now. Why would I struggle to believe higher about myself? Is it because of past events? You are not bound by your past. If you are bound by your past, what's the point? It's like, why are we continuing on if I can only just continue to have experiences that were just like my past? That doesn't even make sense to me, right? No, your past are experiences that, yeah, of course you can keep choosing them, but also you can have that experience and then you can say, that one wasn't for me. I don't think I'll do that one again, So like, you're not bound by your past experiences. You are not, but you have to know that. You have to say that that's how your world works. If you say, my world works like whatever happened there is going to happen again. Okay, well, you're the creator of your reality. So guess what? That's the rule you're making for yourself. But you don't have to make that rule. You see anybody else not living by that rule? You see anybody else having experiences and then going, whew, that one wasn't for me. I'm going to go higher. Yes, of course you do. All the time people are doing this. So if they can do it, why can't you do it? You absolutely can do it. But you have to create the flexibility in your own mind. You have to create the malleability, the flexibility, the moldability in your own mind with your own belief system. And it starts by looking at, why is there resistance? And all of that, no matter what is there, I'll say it again. I don't care how much resistance is there. Any amount of resistance can be worked through. But let's just be honest, right? Because otherwise, if you don't look at the resistance, you're going to be inclined to say things like, I don't know, I can't seem to think anything better. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You have to understand the mechanism here. There are beliefs and there are protective mechanisms around those beliefs. You have to look at the protective mechanisms and dismantle them one by one. And it all starts by this underlying foundational concept that your mind is moldable, your mind is malleable, your mind is shapeable. Okay? If you have any concept that says, no, I can't change my mind, that is a belief too. And if that's not serving you, it's controlling you. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope this was helpful for you guys. And if you liked the video, leave me a comment. If you want to see something more on this topic, something that I touched on that you want me to expand more on, leave me a comment down below. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate every one of you. I'll see you in the next one.